I'm feisty when it comes to I'm not being treated equally.
This is so wonderful to meet the three of you. Thank you so much for the time. I really do appreciate this.
Well, thanks for having us. We're thrilled to be here.
Tough Old Broads is just a wonderful film. It is just such it is so encouraging, so challenging. Speaking right now with director uh, with director Stacey Tenenbaum and Kathrine Switzer, and I want to
Sharon Farmer,
Sharon Farmer.
wonderful.
There it is. I was just locating it in my notes. Thank you. Honestly, all this is just such a wonderful film. Honestly, Stacey, how did it come to be?
Well, I was watching another documentary because I love to watch documentaries. We should all watch documentaries. And it was about street photography. And there was this woman, this street photographer, Jill Friedman, who was living in New York in the 70s. And she was camping out with the police and going on all kinds of calls and taking photographs. And she did a series with the firefighters as well. And she was just a really cool lady. She was still doing it. She was still doing street photography. And all of her peers that were men had been very successful and had books and were well-known names. And she had been doing it for all these years and still didn't have that kind of recognition. She was in her 70s and she was coming out with a book on New York street photography. It was her first book. And I was like, that lady's a tough old broad, man. And then I said it and I was like, tough old broad. Yeah, that's good. That's a great film title. So I kind of had the film title before I had the film. And then I went looking for women trailblazers. So I really wanted to focus on women who were the first woman to do something in a man's world and to figure out like what was it about them that they were able to do that they were able to get where they were. So that was kind of the general idea.
Well, I truly love this film and how it starts, of course, Sharon and Catherine with you, and also with Scylla. Is it Scylla as
Sila.
well? Scylla. And it how it starts off at the beginnings, but it continues on very much to the impact you're all still having today and the legacy that you've built. And I would love to hear from you both. Um, what was going through your minds in the early days as Sharon, you're starting out with photography and and Catherine, you're of course doing the running and the Boston Marathon. What was important to you at the very beginning?
Do you want to start, Sharon?
What's really important, I think, is that we have impact and that if we talk about things that make a difference in our lives and in our comrades' lives about how to do your craft, women are always shuttled to the back. We're not going to get the best spot. We got to fight for the spot we want, or we got to slide in between other people who are rude and not understanding that we have as much right as they have to take pictures. So I'm feisty when it comes to I'm not being treated equally. I grew up in a neighborhood in the Southeast where we all loved each other. Didn't matter what you were doing. I could throw the football as well as the guys. And at some point, the guys would go, get Sharon to throw the football, and then we're going to win. That's a wonderful thing to know that they have faith in me. And because all of us were so tight, when you're good to each other, you're good to everybody. And we believe in equality. My parents were principals. They weren't messing around. They were like, you do your best. You're the quarterback. You do your best. That all worked out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Catherine, what about you?
Yeah, well, my case it was slightly different, and that is that I was fighting against myth, and the myth was that if a woman participated in sports, she would somehow turn into a man, grow hair on her chest, or her uterus would fall out if she ran. So my dad really encouraged me to run because I had this dream of at first when I was a girl of being a high school cheerleader because they were pretty and popular and they dated the captain of the football team. And he said, "Oh, honey, you don't want to cheer for other people. You want people to cheer for you." He said, "The game's on the field, not on the sidelines." And I said, "Well, Dad, come on, what am I supposed to do?" And he said, "Well, you're really lucky. Your school has, in the high school you'll be going to, has something called a field hockey team. And I don't know what it is, but they run. And if you ran a mile a day, you'd be the best player on the team. And I said, but I've never even had a stick in my hand. And he said, didn't matter. He said, if you ran a mile a day, you'd be in really good shape and you could learn the skills quickly. And so I said, but I can't run a mile. And he said, of course you can run a mile. Come on, I'll show you how. And we went outside and took off. And he said, no, 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 no. He said, I want you just to finish the job. It's not about going fast. It's about finishing the job. So I did my first mile and I said, Dad, I did it. I ran a mile. And he said, great, honey. Now you do it every day. And so from these lessons, I learned persistence and perseverance and you know, some days are easy and some days are impossible. But the biggest thing I learned is that I love to run and that I got lost in it. And sometimes, you know, the 7 laps I was supposed to do of our yard turned into like 12 laps because I lost count and I was lost in the empowering feeling, really, the transcendence of running. When I got to high school, I played a lot of sports, but I always ran a few miles afterwards. And so when I heard about the Boston Marathon, I said, okay, great, I've got to run that. And people I just couldn't believe, you know, a woman would want to run a marathon. And actually, I didn't share that secret with anybody except the trainer at Syracuse University, who was this really old guy he was 50, you know, if you can imagine that. He he took me under his wing without hesitation. He had run 15 Boston marathons. He was helping a volunteer coach for the men. There were no women's sports at all at Syracuse University. This is 1966. I mean, they didn't have women's sports wait until after Title IX was passed. So after 1972, it was really amazing. But at any rate, on a snowy night, I told him that I harbored this ambition to run the Boston Marathon. And he said, well, look, he said, I think you could become a pretty good runner, but I don't think any woman anywhere could run a marathon. Well, my hackles went up over that. And we argued, and it was in the middle of a Syracuse blizzard. And I don't know if you know anything about Syracuse, but we've just come from there. It was 26 frickin' degrees below zero. And no, I'm not kidding, because I had this big honor this last week in Syracuse. So, I don't know how I did this. But anyway, he said, I'll tell you what. He said, if you show me in practice that you can run 26 miles, I'll be the first person to take you to Boston. So I said, oh my God, I got a coach, I got a dream. And when the day came to run 26 miles, I didn't think we had measured right. And I said, let's do another 5. And we ran 31 miles and he passed out. So that's the moment we learned that women have, and this is true now, this is borne out now with medical studies. Women have more stamina and endurance than men. We don't have the speed and the power, but you know, we're winning outright major races, 50 miles, 100-mile races, 120, climbing the Pennines, you know, breastfeeding the baby on the way. Unbelievable what these women are doing. That's true, actually. And so it's transforming women's sport. But the point is that Boston Marathon that I ran, official, when I wore a bib number, the race director lost his temper and attacked me physically in the race, tried to rip off the number and throw me out of the race. And the guys in the race supported me. And, you know, my boyfriend decked him, okay? But the men in the race were supporting him. Here's the difference, is that people who run do not care about your gender or your color or your size or your age or your income. If you show up to run, you're one of the group. And those guys were really, really supportive. But the women were not. Sharon and I were talking about this earlier, is that the women were very suspicious and scared of powerful women. And no matter how hard I tried for a while, I couldn't get them to come and run. But finally, I started setting up clubs, taking leadership positions, starting women's only events. And just to fast forward this whole story, eventually got major sponsorship in Avon and created 400 races in 27 countries that led to getting the women's marathon in the Olympic Games in 1984. And when people saw that race, it changed women's history, not just sports history, women's history. And because now they realize women really could do anything and deserve the opportunity. So yeah, it's been an amazing ride. But and I think Sharon and I share this.
Yes, we do.
Which is that we had to prove ourselves over and over and over again before we got accepted into the club. That's okay.
I think
That's what breaking.
every woman experiences that. We always have to prove ourselves
Yeah,
over
and over again.
Not a problem.
Just show me. Yeah. So even as old women, we're still out there, as Sharon said. I would have started
They're
imitating
fighting the good fight.
The right thing along the
Mhm.
way and making the right decision. And actually, Sharon, at one point, you're talking about photography and and one of the things that I think one of the things you say in the film is that it freezes time. There's an aspect of photography that freezes a moment in time. And I was wondering, in your mind, how does like a photograph change the world by freezing time?
Because that single shot alone by itself has the impact.
Hmm.
And the impact doesn't change no matter who sees it because of because that single shot alone by itself has the impact.
Hmm.
And the impact doesn't change no matter who sees it because the bottom line is this is successful and you've done the right thing. And if you encourage other women, other young people to come do the right thing, you're spreading the good joy of what a jelly bean is, okay?
Yeah. And you know what? When people introduce me, say Kathrine was the first woman to officially run the Boston Marathon. And they kind of go, no, no, no. And they say, oh, the photo with the guys attacking her. And it is that photo that was captured the moment the official attacked me. He did it in front of the press truck. And the photographers were all over it. And one, Harry Trask from the Boston Herald Traveler at the time, and he was a Pulitzer Prize winning photographer. He didn't win the Pulitzer for that, but he should have now. But everybody remembers that photo. And it's really amazing. They say, oh, come on, you know her. It was the photo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the photo changed your
The photo
life, I
changed my
think.
life. The photo changed. Well, it also became a passport.
Mm.
Yeah, also became a passport.
Or not, that you just wouldn't expect to watching be
that
caught on
scene
camera actually is
so
stunning because it
unbelievably
is one of those it's one of
brash and
those
brazen
moments that
I don't know if this is the right
it
way
is
to
an
say it or not,
incredible
that you
moment
just
to
wouldn't
catch
expect to be
on
caught on
screen.
camera.
And actually, like
so
Kathrine, I think at one point
unbelievably
later on in the film, you actually
brash
say
and
the most
brazen
important part of the story was to finish
that
the race.
it is an incredible moment
And I
to
would
catch
love to
on-
hear
on
from you,
screen.
but
And
all
actually,
three of you,
why-
Kathrine, I think at
what
one
is
point later
the
on in the film, you actually
importance
say the most
of
important part of the
finishing
story was
the
to finish
race?
the race.
Okay, and I'll tell it briefly because I
And I
took
would
a
love
long
to
time
hear
to
from
tell
you,
the
but
previous
all
story.
three of
And
you,
that is
why,
that
what is
everybody
the
expected
importance
me to
of
quit
finishing
and
the
drop out.
race?
Okay, and I'll tell it briefly because I took a long time to tell the previous story. And that is that everybody expected me to quit and drop out because, as they would say in the time, oh, we've given women the opportunity, but they can't do it anyway. But of course, they tie your hands when they give you the opportunity. And so, for instance, well, we're offering you a job as a lawyer, but you're competing against somebody who's got a degree from Harvard when you're not allowed to apply to Harvard, right? So how can you possibly compete? You have a law degree from community college. You're not going to get the job if they got a degree from Harvard. So they would tell me I couldn't run because it was illegal because my uterus might fall out, and they had to protect me against myself. Um, so I had to prove that I could finish the race, and that's what changed history because nobody believed women could actually do something like that. So there you go.
And I think the whole film, everyone in this film, like the thing that makes the tough little broad is persistence.
Yes.
It's finishing the race. And that's the big message from the film is that, activism is not just a day or a week. It's a life's work. And
Lifelong
yeah,
commitment.
yeah. And we're not going in one direction. Like there's a lot of backsliding that's happening right now.
Absolutely.
And so you have to push through that and you have to keep going forward. And I mean, I don't think this race is going to be finished anytime in our lifetime, unfortunately.
And what's diabolical about history, and women's history in particular, we make these leaps ahead, and then all of a sudden, back up, as if people are afraid of progress.
Yeah.
Hey, when we talk about persistence, I'd like to compliment you because she has worked like a dog for a long time on this film.
6 years.
And never really ever lost the sense of the vision and never said no. So, I mean, I call her up and say, Stacey, I'm the official honorary starter of the Women's Olympics marathon in Paris. I just found out the super secret, but you got to get your butt to Paris. she gets her butt to Paris.
I'll get my butt just about anywhere to do my job. So yeah, we're all very, I mean, I'm not that old yet, but I'm getting there. And I think like what I want people to do is have that tough old broad mindset and to want to become tough old broads and to pledge to become tough old broads as they age. And that just means like speaking your mind and taking up space and not taking no for an answer. And I don't know what else, ladies, but
Guys are okay, but you can't tell us what we cannot do. Not possible. Don't want to hear it. And if I have to pull you aside and go, what the hell is wrong with you? I can do that with a grin and say, you gotta stop that shit, okay?
Yeah. But you know what? Isn't it amazing? My dad in 1957 told me to go out and run a mile.
See,
You know,
see.
my dad was a big deal Army colonel. He was 6'5" and he was as masculine as they come. And he had the most incredible influence. And every parent has influence on their kids. I start every speech with that story about my dad because I want everybody in the room who is a parent or is going to be a parent, because most people are, say, listen, your influence on your kids this way is really, really important.
and it's really about how we bring up our men too.
Yeah.
Because I think, women need men to be allies and to give us that chance and to, help us along the way. So I think that the film is also for men. Like people think, oh, it's just a woman's film, but I think it's a film for everyone just to see like what it takes to make a better world.
There you go. And
Yeah,
that's what
there you
we're
go.
always a part of. Women help make this world better every day.
You are all amazing. I genuinely am struck by both of you, Sharon and Kathrine, and of course Sela. But Stacey, one of the lines towards the end of the film and I can't remember who says it, but they mention the women that live on in me. And
Oh, it's Sila.
is it? I thought it might have been
Yeah.
Sela. My question for you is, having spent so much time with Sela, Sharon, and Kathrine, how will these women live on in you?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I have two wonderful friends who I adore, really. But I think it is that persistence. It's that, like, that's what I take as inspiration from both of them is just that they never gave up. They never took no for an answer. They're still fighting after 40, 50, 60 years almost. They're still fighting the good fight. Sharon gave me a wonderful piece of also wisdom, which is, and it's actually not in the film, but it should have been in the film. She doesn't waste her energy on people who don't deserve her energy. And that really stayed with me. It's like you don't have any time for fools.
None, zero.
I think that, we have to, especially in this time, because fighting is difficult and you have to figure out where you're going to spend your energy. And for me, for a lot of younger women, I think that's difficult to figure out and it takes a while to do that.
Yeah.
So
I have never figured that out. I try to beat everybody into submission. My husband says you're a pathological optimist.
I love that phrase. Pathological optimist is my phrase of the day now. I think that's wonderful. And that also helps describe this film. It is just a beautiful piece, and you are all wonderful. Thank you so much for the time to chat with you about it for Tough Old Broads, which is just fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Wade. I wanted to let you know we're going to have a theatrical release across Canada because you're Canadian, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, good.
Where are you?
I'm north of Toronto.
Okay.
Technically, it's Newmarket, but I'm just north of Toronto. No one knows where
So
Newmarket.
we're aiming to have a theatrical release across Canada on International Women's Day weekend.
Oh, that's great.
So March 8th, all across cinemas in Canada. So do you know Ingrid Hamilton, the publicist?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
I know Ingrid.
She'll
Yes.
be reaching out to you, but definitely, hopefully, you can help promote that because we really need to get people out into cinemas to see the film.
Absolutely. That is wonderful. That's exciting. I didn't know that that was happening, and I'm more excited now. That's so great. Thank you.
Thanks so
Honestly.
much.
Thank you for your support.
Proud to the men too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a great day, honestly.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.